Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Well, we have a great opportunity to be with a very good friend, Dr. Kevin Leman. We had a chance to talk to him about his brand new book that is now out called Have a Happy Family by Friday. Well, only in the Kevin Leman way can we talk about that. So join me now as we talk to Dr. Kevin Leman. Well, today it is always an honor to have with us our good friend, Dr. Kevin Leman. And I tell you what, does he need an introduction? Probably not. Somewhere along the line, you probably picked up one of his many books. And he's a good friend. He's perhaps one of the great psychologists of our day, writers, authors. And he's a lousy fisherman, but we love him anyway. And you have probably read his book, Have a New Teenager by Friday. Have a new you by Friday, have a new husband by Friday, have a new kid by Friday. Well, we got his new one right here. Have a happy family by Friday. All right. Hey, Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, with that introduction, I got to tell you that there will never be have a new wife by Friday. That one you will not see in that in that lineup. But, you know, I'm doing well, Perry. I'm old as the dirt, but I love what I do. I'm still traveling. I travel tomorrow morning for another event, and was in New York yesterday to give you an idea. And if this Skype interview seems at all different than normal, it's because my internet is out at my home, and so I've gone to a local restaurant, sitting out on their patio where it's a very comfortable 101 degrees. And I've got water by my side, but I know I'm talking to my good friend Perry Atkinson, so I'm ready to rock and roll. But I would like to come down and do the Rogue again. The Rogue and I are...
Yeah, I know that. If we could just get you to not wear your wingtips in the boat, I think you could probably catch fish.
That wasn't me, if you recall.
Hey, good to see you. Well, listen, have a happy family by Friday. You pretty much have gone through the family, and tell us about this. What led you to do this one, Kevin?
Well, I actually wanted to call the book Have a Happier Family by Friday, and the publisher, all a bunch of firstborn and only born children, I should add, said, no, we don't want happier family. We want the book to be Have a Happy Family by Friday. And I said, well, I don't think so. And they said, we know so. They always know what's best, you know. And I said, well, why do you say that? And they said, well, how many families do you see as you look around our country? And I said, well, very few. Bingo. That's why it needs to be Have a Happy Family by Friday. And miraculously, they can tell. The book's pub date was 2 days ago, and they can already tell it's going to be a huge book because of all the airports and stores that have already taken the book in. So I think it's a book that's going to help. There's a few points in the book that are downright profound, and for that reason alone, it's a book well worth reading.
All right, you got CRT, which is communication, respect, and teamwork, and you lead off with choosing your words wisely. Walk us through that.
Well, here's the profound statement. You tell me if this is profound or not. The words you choose to use with the ones you love can change the very direction, trajectory of your relationship. And I offered an example. A 14-year-old kid comes home and announces at the dinner table that he has just given his friend's older brother $200 to have half interest in a used motorcycle. Well, what do you suppose the father would say to that stupid thing that the kid just did? He would say something like what? He'd say something like, what? What did you do? You got suckered. What is wrong with you? You're 14. You don't even have a driver's permit yet. What is wrong with you? I'm telling you, if a bird had your brain, he'd fly sideways. I'm telling you, you were downright stupid. Well, the kid, what does the kid do? The kid leaves the table, goes to his bedroom, doesn't talk to his dad for 6 days. Yeah. The father calls me. He says, what do I do? I said, you're the adult here. You reacted. You didn't respond. You owe your son an apology, number one. Start there. So he went and he apologized to his dad and or to his son, and he said, tell me about the motorcycle. And with that, they ended up taking a trip up to Menomonee Falls, Wisconsin, where these motorcycles are made. a new bond created in these kids and or between kid and dad, and life went on. So changing the words you choose to use can really alter that relationship.
How difficult is it for parents these days in trying to create this happy family to get through the maze of all of this digital electronics that these kids are plugged into, and how do you respond to that?
Well, the other day on Birth Order Guy, was it Birth Order Guy? No, it was on Facebook, on Dr. Kevin Leman Facebook. I put out something about the cell phone. I asked the question, when's an appropriate age? And I told people I would get back to them on my thoughts on it. And I was shocked, Perry, to see I had 258,000 people view that simple post.
Whoa.
And it's one of those things that people are very vocal about. They care about this. And like lemmings, we're giving kids way too much technology. In the book, I talk about the perfect storm. And you as a family have the makings of a tsunami in your family by these three elements. Now, just hear me out. Number one, you have the preteen. Mm-hmm. You have the adolescent who is beginning to break away, beginning to establish independence, physically growing up before your eyes. Then the second part of this three-part tragedy is you've got peers who are growing up in an unraveling culture, where culture rules today, and they are equipped with technology never known to mankind before. And I call this new technology, namely the smartphone, the new Goliath. It's huge. And then parents who have their own issues that they're trying to deal with, and you have the makings of a tsunami of huge proportion in your family.
All right, so it's hard enough to get our kids to listen to us. How do we break through that? Oh, did we lose him?
Well, some simple things. Number one, if you really want your... No, I'm still here. I can hear you. Did you lose me? I can still hear you.
Oh, you're doing fine. You're looking.
Pardon me. I'm gonna have my breakfast as we go along. This is bacon. Here's to you. But here's the deal. You need to understand that you need to get into the kid's head. Don't ask the kid questions. If you want to get to second base with your kid, don't ask him any questions. None. Don't ask him how his day was. Nothing. Parents are saying, no, wait a minute, Leman, if I did that, my kid would never talk to me. All I do is ask questions. Yeah, but what does he tell you? He doesn't tell you anything. Where you been? Out. What'd you do? Nothing. What'd you learn in school today? Nothing. That's great news for us taxpayers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let the kid talk. Ask the kid, honey, if you want to ask a question, here's the question. Honey, can I ask your opinion about something? You know an awful lot about cars, and we've been talking about getting a new car. Could you do some research about cars? If you've got a kid who loves cars, he's all over that. He is all over that. And I'm telling you, there's a way to invite kids into your life, and keep in mind, parent, that this kid wants to please you. He doesn't like it when you're upset with him. So give a kid an opportunity to get back to you as a family, and you're all going to profit from it.
All right. Part of this, and I know you deal with this in the book, is how mom and dad's relationship is seen in front of the children. How does that play into a happy family?
Well, number one, let's start with us men. I'm going to pick on us men first. You got to understand that women are weird, okay? They think weird. They hug anything that moves. They do a lot of strange things. But you have to always, gentlemen, treat your wife with respect and love. And when a kid sees that, that goes right into the DNA of who they are and how they're going to treat their future spouse someday. So knowing that men and women are very different. Dads, don't try to be mom. Just be the dad you are. I love being a man. When I go to my friend's house, I don't have to bring him a gift. I do my nails with my front teeth. You know, I don't hug anything unless I really want to. I like being a man. And for women are different, for sure. And women don't mind being asked questions. And women tend to ask too many questions. My suggestion to every woman is never ask your husband why, and don't ask him any questions, because we don't like questions. We feel like we're being grilled, okay?
Yeah.
And you just have to realize that women are completely different. They use 3.5 times the number of words that we use in a given day. And with that, you just have to model the kind of marriage that's worthy of modeling.
And the kids notice this?
Not only do they notice it, but they take it right into who they are. Because we're modeling on a daily basis, how do you treat a woman? And for centuries, men have wiped their feet on women. That's no surprise. That's no late-breaking news. But if it's going to stop, it stops with a mom who demands a healthy respect for her. Little Buford pops off to mom with a smart mouth, and then 20 minutes later wants to be driven someplace. The answer is just simple. Give him some vitamin N, which is no, we're not going there.
Okay.
Will he like it? No. But you earn your parental respect stripe by doing exactly that.
What happens when a mother, a mom, doesn't necessarily show respect to the husband in front of the children?
Well, number one, he's going to find a way to get back at her. The best would be through an extramarital affair, or a man who feels distant at home will find other warm arms that will welcome him. And men are so driven by sight, physical attention, sex, to put it bluntly, that it's so easy in this age for a man to wander, that a woman is skating on very thin ice if she doesn't learn to respect her husband in his home.
Because men don't talk a lot, they may just grunt when the woman talks. What kind of a message is that sending to the children?
Well, it's not a healthy one. I urge men to use complete sentences, paragraphs, and complete thoughts. If they just do that, they're on the right way. Women speak in volumes. You ask your wife what time it is, and she tells you how Big Ben was made, manufactured, distributed throughout the U.S., Canada, and the Virgin Islands. It's crazy, okay? So there is some humor. I think God was the original humorist when he said the two shall become one, because we are so very different from the get-go.
That's wonderful. All right, let me take a quick break. We're talking to Dr. Kevin Leman, our good friend, and his new book. You may want to check it out. It is in the bookstores now, put out by Revell, and there it is, Have a Happy Family by Friday. And it underscores three things: the CRT, communication, respect, and teamwork. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Dr. Kevin Leman, and we are talking to him about his brand new book, Have a Happy Family by Friday. You talk about a tremendous resource. This is one you're going to have to get into your library and get into your hands and share it with family members. And has how to improve communication, respect, and teamwork. And we've been talking a lot about the communication and even some of the respect part of it. Let me ask you this. If the home is dominated by the mom, what does that do to a young boy?
Well, it's number one, there's a key relationship, Perry, that exists between a mom and a son and a father and a daughter. That's a key relationship.
Right.
But anytime somebody just dominates, it's not very healthy. When I speak in a church, I love to ask the question, is God an authoritarian? Does he grab us by the scruff of the neck, twist our earlobe, and say, you will do this, you will do that? No. He is far from an authoritarian God. But he is the supreme authority. And in authority, you see balance. In permissiveness, you don't see balance. You see parents who are knocking each other over trying to make sure their child is happy, happy, happy at every turn. One of the best things I think I ever came up with is this: an unhappy child is a healthy child. So we're always looking for balance. So when mom dominates a relationship, it's not healthy for that son or that daughter for that matter. But when dad dominates the relationship, that's not healthy either. There needs to be an egalitarian sharing of the sexes, because every young man needs a good dose of femininity and every young woman needs a good dosage of masculinity. It's that balance that really helps create an environment to have truly a happy family.
All right, let's talk about teamwork, Kevin. And should parents pre-discuss what they're going to talk about and act in front of their children?
Well, I think you have to be careful. I once said if God wanted us to know what everybody else was thinking, he would have given us glass foreheads. I think there's times where you have to use discretion. I get asked a lot about fighting in front of kids. Is that healthy for kids to see how parents fight? Well, it's healthy for kids to see that parents can disagree. But more importantly, it's important that kids see how mom and dad have come to a peaceful resolution of their differences. To have differences in marriage is just part of being married. So we're always shooting for trying to have balance in the home. And that's what good old St. Paul tried to teach us in the book of Ephesians, that, you know, children obey your parents, etc. But then he turns around and talks to parents and says, you know, don't exasperate your kids. So we're looking for balance in all relationships because that leads to being healthy.
Where do rules and regulations come in so it doesn't become legalistic and authoritarian?
Well, let me give you another one I came up with. I think you'll like it. You know, Jesus came to the earth to put an end to religion.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Put an end to religion.
Yeah.
And so many of us in churches, I mean, I'm in churches where I can just hurl, just listening to some of the stuff they crank out, because it's all a bunch of negatives. Don't do this and don't do that. It's all a bunch of rules. And it's crazy. I mean, I've ripped Josh McDowell off for years because he said rules without relationship lead to rebellion. That's the first time I heard it. Now, maybe he ripped it off from Gary Smelly or somebody else, but I never forgot that. Yeah, rules without relationship lead to rebellion. So what we're really looking for is relationship building. And you build a beautiful cathedral one brick at a time. And you have to remember that every time you lay a positive brick, it's due to good, healthy communication.
Where does levity come in? Because I think it's lacking in a lot of families. We're too serious.
Well, boy, you hit the nail on the head there. You know, we do a cruise once a year. This year, I'm doing it with Luis Palau and Dennis Swanberg, Sherry Keggy. Oh. And if I'm in a church and I'm talking to people about coming with us next February, I say, listen, if you're a fun couple, a fun person, we bring singles along as well. We'd love to have you on our cruise. And if you're not, we'd prefer you stay home. Because, see, I think people of faith, if you're a believer, if you're a person of faith, you need to be joyful. You ought to have fun. I mean, I have fun every place I go.
Yeah, you certainly do.
I had the hairdresser and the makeup artist in New York yesterday when I was in New York getting made up for a show. I had her on her backside laughing. And I told my publicist, I said, every place you go, make a friend. Every place you go, keep the door open. Because you don't know what that next chapter in your life is going to be with that person.
How do we make our home feel secure? In other words, that the children know they can always run home and be okay.
Well, I think part of that is just accepting the fact that they're not always going to believe what we tell them, that they have a mind of their own, that we're open to discussing things where they obviously have different ideas about it than we do. So home is a place where failure isn't fatal, where your contribution is not only expected but needed. I think parents miss the boat by not requiring more give back to the family on the part of kids. Kids skate free too many times. I think we should work those little suckers to the bone.
So you think duties and chores are good, huh?
Yeah, well, listen, you talk to anybody who grew up in 4-H. Now, there should be some 4-Hers around Medford, Oregon.
You're talking to one.
You know, I'll bet there's not many that are behind bars.
Yeah.
I'll bet most of them are productive people, and that's one great company. That's one great company that really, I shouldn't say company, organization,
yeah,
that really helps fulfill a need in our country. And see, kids need to give back. And what I love about organizations like 4-H is they'll take a calf from birth and raise that little sucker until they're turned into hamburgers and filet mignon.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yep, that's I'm a firm believer. In fact, if I had time, money, and energy, I'd do a latchkey farm for kids. I'd have them get off the school bus at a farm for a couple of hours, you know?
Well, you know, I think schools would be so smart in areas of the country where it's conducive would be to have gardens out on the playground.
Right.
That kids would grow things and then harvest them and have a fall festival and give kids some on-hand experiences about how much it takes to build community and how much work it takes to grow a green bean.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
It's just something that's missing. And so recess in schools could be something we call enrichment, where kids actually are enriching their lives and not just playing.
Kevin, it's one thing to create a sense of belonging in the home where you feel like, you know, you're obviously part of it. How does parents help a child take responsibility in the home? Not necessarily feeling it's a duty, but that there's a responsibility you have being a member of this family.
Well, I think the dinner table is a great conduit for this kind of conversation where the parents say, listen, we have X number of chores around here that have to be done on a daily basis, a weekly basis. Here, you guys figure out how you're going to split it up so that everybody has assignments and they're all written down. They're on the refrigerator door. And when a job isn't done, this is the fun part. When a job isn't done, as a parent manager of the home, you could hire 9-year-old sister to clean 10-year-old brother's room, paying for it out of 10-year-old brother's allowance. That'll get 10-year-old's attention. And yet the room gets cleaned and someone's paid for it, namely the kid. And what I like about that, Perry, is it reflects life. If you want to get your truck washed, you can take it down to the car wash and they'll wash it for $8, or you can stay home and wash it in your driveway. And so the point is that the home ought to reflect what life is all about.
All right, you just set up the next question, and that is one of the hard things about creating a happy family is the constant bickering that can go on among siblings. What do we do, Coach?
Well, in a place like Medford, Oregon, when they start their dog and pony show, without any mention of anything, without any words expressed, I would simply take the children by the arm. I would escort them to the back door. I would close and lock the door. If I'm a mom, I'd probably make a cup of tea. If I'm a dad, I'd go back and watch TV. And I'd leave them there for a while. And if they pounded on the door, I'd ignore them. And when they finally quieted down, I would go to the door and ask them very calmly if they're ready to come in and act like human beings. And if they said yes, I'd let them in, and that'd be the end of it. And I would repeat that as often as necessary.
And we won't be reading about you in the newspaper the next morning?
Well, you could FedEx them to a far-off land. There are other ways of doing it. The point is, we don't fight in our home.
Right.
If you guys want to fight, you can fight outside. But you're not going to draw me into it, and I'm not going to remind you 10 times. So I'm going to teach the kids that when the parent speaks, they would be oh so smart to listen.
Yeah. Kevin,
because then what? Yeah, go ahead.
Fascinating book. What do you want parents to get from this? What's the essence that you want them to get from your book?
I think the essence of this book is I've given you a roadmap, a workable roadmap, how you can take the constant bickering, the stress, the strife that happens every day in your home and turn it into as close a thing as Disneyland as you're going to see on the face of this earth.
Wow. All right, the book is entitled Have a Happy Family by Friday, and you need to check it out. By the way, he's written some other sequels to this. Have a New Kid by Friday, Teenager, Husband, You, and now The Happy Family, and they're all great resources. Well, Kevin, you're a delight. So what's next? When are you going to slow down?
Oh, I don't think I'm slowing down. The next book is a fiction book that you're going to like, Perry Atkinson, because it's a presidential intrigue mystery book. It's the first of a trilogy. It's already done. It comes out in the spring, and it's about a firstborn who has presidential aspirations. The second book is about a middle child, and the third about the youngest daughter in the family. And so you'll like that book. And then I'm working on a book on middle schoolers that will be out next fall.
All right. Well, by the way, if you've never read Kevin Leman's birth order book, that's the launching pad to his incredible career, and you may want to get that and then start from there. But I will say this, I stumped him. He thought for sure I was a firstborn. I'll never forget that. Your eyes were as big as saucers when I said, no, I was a thirdborn. I was a middle child.
It's the eighth wonder of the world. Next to Victoria Falls is why this man is not a firstborn. I do not know. He did stump me, friends.
Yeah.
He's an airplane. Pilots are firstborn. He knows exactly how to do things. He's a great leader. That doesn't sound like a thirdborn to me. It sounds like a firstborn. He's either a lion dog or I'm wrong.
No, I have an older brother and sister, a younger brother and sister. It was called survival.
I know. I remember the story. Trust me.
Good to see you, Kevin. Blessings to you, Sandy, and all your kids. And how many grandkids you got now?
Just 2. I have the most non-productive children on the face of this earth.
Well,
2 grandchildren, 5 kids.
Well, you got to get your son-in-law's daytime jobs.
Yeah, I gave him the word. I gave him pictures and everything.
Okay, good to see you. God bless you, my friend.
Yeah, you take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. All right, there he is. Nobody like him, Dr. Kevin Leman. Have a happy family by Friday. Well, coming up, our good friend Doug Gould's with us, and I think you're going to find this to be pretty inspiring, our time together. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
All right, we're back, and delighted to have back in the studio with us today Doug Gould. He is the Executive Director of Foundations for Recovery. I think one of the greatest organizations that come about, and it happens to be right here in Southern Oregon. And you got your first big event coming up Saturday, September 27th.
Yeah, it's
huge. Tell us about it. It's called Putting a Positive Face on Recovery. You got everybody. Who is not involved in it?
Who's not supporting this event? I know, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. The community is really rallied around. I mean, you look at that. Crater High School, the teacher, Jeremy Sinks over there, his Community One-on-One project. we put in an application to do a youth education piece, and we presented this program, and the Crater High School said, you know what, we believe in you guys, we want this thing to happen, and because of that, because of their grant of $3,000 from Crater High School, we've used those resources to branch out to the rest of the community, to let the community know that we are adamant about helping the young people in our community. Because the foundation, believe it or not, Perry, the Foundation for Recovery has only been doing peer mentoring for adults. And then we see the overwhelming need to start now offering peer mentoring for youth, ages 11 through 17. So we're using this festival to kick off a new youth program called Step Up, Speak Out, Stand Firm with our young people in our community.
Step up, seek out, stand firm.
Step up, speak out, stand firm.
Speak out, okay. All right, this event's coming up Saturday the 27th, so a couple of weeks away. It's at the park there in Central Point, and that's kind of right behind the post office.
Right.
And you can't miss it. There's a park there, you can't miss it.
Yeah.
You've got singing groups, you got
food.
Oh, listen to this, Guns and Hoses.
Yes.
Now, doesn't that sound like a movie?
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna kick off the festival on Friday. Yeah. With a softball game.
Battle of the Badges.
Battle of the Badges between the police and the fire department. It's going to be at Fagoni Field on Friday night. It's free to the public. The opening ceremony started at 6:30. The first pitch at 7. But it's called Guns and Hoses. Police Against the Fire.
That's great.
It's free to the public. Hot dogs and drinks for the first, I think, 300 or 400 people that come through the gate. But it's all free. And then we're going to use that event to kick off our Saturday event at the park there about putting a positive face on recovery.
Well, I tell you, folks, first of all, I think you've given birth to an annual event.
Absolutely.
And not only for Foundation for Recovery, but also with the police and the fire.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a hoot.
Absolutely.
But this is about one of the most successful recovery programs ever. Your percentages are through the roof.
Absolutely.
Comparable,
yeah. We're pushing anywhere from 50 to 55% success rate in sobriety. Again, sometimes it's hard to control the numbers because what happens is we'll lose them, but we don't give up at the foundation. If we have a client or a participant that comes to our office, begins their program, and then all of a sudden we don't see them, we don't just put their file away. We pray over their files, right? Because one of the most embarrassing things to do, especially those in addiction, is to pick up the phone and call someone back and saying, I've had a relapse. Okay? One of the things that the Foundation for Recovery prides itself on is this. First of all, relapse doesn't have to happen, but if it does, relapse doesn't have to be permanent. We have recovery coaches that understand relapse. My goodness, Perry, when I went through my own addiction recovery over alcohol, how many times did I relapse? You know, but God is the God of first, second, third, fourth. We don't say fifth chances to an alcoholic recovered, but but God is a God that does want to restore and doesn't give up on us, and we don't give up on our clients too.
All right. Tell us how it works in simple terms.
Okay.
What do you do?
Usually what happens is when someone sees a broadcast like this or picks up a brochure or a flyer that, or even comes to the fair and wants to start the recovery program, if there's an embarrassment issue or a privacy issue involved, there's a phone number on there that you can call, leave a message. Privately, I can call you back, or one of our female coaches can call you back, and we can meet with you privately. But one of the hardest things for those who struggle with addiction is to at least pick up the phone. So once you pick up the phone, we will meet with you. We do an initial assessment, which takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and then we match that person. What's really cool about peer mentoring is we match that participant up with the recovery coach of similar issues in reference to recovery. For example, I thrive on talking to somebody else who's battling alcoholism. But talk about heroin or opiates or meth addiction, I'm not there. Okay, so that's why we try to make it personalized one-on-one recovery coaching, matching up the peer mentor with the participant.
Okay. And that's what it's about, folks. And how do they get a hold of you, Doug?
Best thing to do is just give the office a call at 245-HOPE.
245-HOPE.
Which is 4673.
Yeah. Which getting more simple than that.
245-HOPE.
I got to look at that. 245-HOPE. Okay. Well, you know, I tell you what. Maybe you are feeling the tug from the Lord to start in a direction to change your life. And you can call that number now, or the least of which, why don't you attend this gathering?
Please.
Coming up on the 27th.
Please.
It's totally open. It's totally free. It's a lot of fun. And what's so interesting to me is when you look at the amount of community businesses that have gotten behind this.
Bobbio's, Bumgardner, Belfour, Dave's Imports. I feel like a NASCAR event. But Bobbio's, Bumgardner Landscape, Belfour, Dave's Imports, Sign Dude, theDove, CSA Consulting, Malello's Coffee. It's a great community event, Perry. It's wonderful.
Well, I just can't say enough of all the recovery programs, and there are many that are great. Don't get me wrong. But the success rate of what's going on here, and I've always said, Doug, and you are a walking example of this, whatever God saves you from or brings you through is usually what he turns you around and makes you a minister to.
Exactly.
And that's what happened to you. That's your own life.
I'm passionate about this, Perry, really. You know what's really, off air we were talking, anywhere we go to let people know about the festival, I stop and listen to their stories. Right? The national average right now, the latest SAMHSA numbers, Substance Abuse Mental Health Association numbers, was 75% of our homes nationwide are affected by drugs and alcohol. And the community that we're seeing out here in Rogue Valley, anywhere we're stopping, we have to take time to listen to their story because it affects all types of walks of life. I'm passionate about seeing lives restored by God. That's why we don't give up on them. You know, they might be willing to give up on themselves, but our coaches are passionate because we have been given a second chance, you know? And I'm a firm believer that nothing, absolutely nothing separates us from the love of God, nor do our coaches, you know?
Well, and I think that's the commitment that people need to hear, that you're there no matter what. You're there no matter. All right, mark this down, 27th of September. That's 2 weekends away.
Friday night 26th and then Saturday the 27th.
Yeah, the Battle of the Badges is the ball game Friday night, better known as Guns and Hoses.
Yeah, forget high school football. Come see us.
Not only that, it's free.
Exactly.
And you get a hot dog when you walk through the door.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
Plus, there's going to be raffle prizes and a great event.
There
Absolutely.
You go. And then Saturday at the park, and that's the park right behind the Central Point Post Office. You can't miss it. You'll see everything going on. Yeah. Doug, thanks for what you do.
Perry.
Thanks for your commitment.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Welcome back. Our special guest today is Denise Schick. She's an author, speaker, and she's also the director of Help for Families Ministry. Now, this is a Christian ministry that compassionately reaches out to family members and churches and bringing a broader understanding of the emotional pain and spiritual confusion that people sometimes face when loved ones have a gender identity issue. She's also a board member of the Parents and Friends of Ex-Gays and Gays, and she's here to talk about a recent claim put out by Johns Hopkins Hospital psychiatrist that gender or transgender is a mental disorder. Wow, that's an awful lot, Denise, and I know you have a lot to respond to. First of all, thanks for being with us. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Well, this article kind of shook things up, and you wanted to respond to it.
Yeah, it did. You know, the culture and what we're seeing going on today is just this movement is moving so fast that I don't even think that society realizes or comprehends what's happening. The issue of itself, it is a mental disorder. They have gone to change it from being a disorder to dysphoria, which really still has the same meaning of it. Just because somebody's going to come to the point where they have sex reassignment surgery doesn't mean that everything is going to be okay afterwards. So many times the underlying factors that's brought the individual to that point has never been discussed or checked into and investigated to see what has really brought this person to be incoherent with their born gender that God had created them to be.
So what do you think's happened? What happens with a person that wants to do this, in your opinion?
Well, there's a lot of different characteristics and things, events that can take place in one's life. It unfortunately is not a one size that fits all. It would be wonderful if, there were just certain characteristics, 1 through 10, that somebody could look through and understand. I'd first like to say not everybody had been sexually molested. There are those that have been, but that is not consistent with every individual that has transgender feelings or struggles. It can be their perception of the rejection that they've felt, either from their father figure, to their peers. In some way, they have not leveled up to what somebody else's expectations of. And unfortunately, I think sometimes mothers, as much as we want to love and sometimes smother our children, that there are circumstances where the boy is raised many times by moms and aunts and grandmas, and again has not had that male role model to know what that's like. What does that look like to be raised as a little boy into a man, to accept that role and that gender of who he is?
This whole issue of transgender and sex change has become not only somewhat common, but almost celebrated. But is it biologically possible to have it done?
No, it's not. Biologically, there's nothing that we can do about the insides of what our DNA, what our makeup is. Outside, they can have sex reassignment surgery, and of course, with cosmetic surgeries and all that consists that an individual can do, it can change their appearance on the outside. I know individuals that have had anywhere from 11 to 27 surgeries, trying to become that perfect image, trying to become the perfect woman image that they have instilled in their mind and heart that they want to look like. They can't change what's on the inside. If the DNA test was done, it would prove that individual is male or female. But we can change the outside, most definitely.
All right, before I run out of time, you have a special conference coming up October 3rd and 4th. Tell us about that.
Yeah, on October 3rd, we're going to be allowed to share stories. There will be former homosexuals that will be attending to go to the legislators, the representatives, to be able to share their personal stories, to say we do exist. Unfortunately, in the world that we live in, many people say, what, ex-homosexual, ex-transgender, that doesn't happen. But indeed, it does happen. And really, a lot of my close friends are former homosexuals. And so that will allow an opportunity Friday to be able to talk to the representatives and to be able to present any ask and answer time with that representative. On Saturday, we'll be having speakers, keynote speakers and workshops filled with the day to hopefully be able to answer some questions that individuals have and to be able to help them understand homosexuality and transgenderism a little bit better.
Denise, when we talk about ex-gays, what is the one factor that helps them to leave that lifestyle?
I think the one factor is obviously having a relationship with God. For him to be able to take those blinders off, but to have other individuals that have gone through the same similar struggles, that have gone through the homosexual life and relationships, and to realize that brokenness that they have, that the Lord is their healer.
And I know that you're concerned about this and how the church is handling it. We still don't seem to be handling this issue very well. Why?
I think somewhat because we're ashamed to talk about it. I understand the sensitivity of this. There were many years where I didn't want to talk about this. I never dreamed that I'd be talking about this publicly. And from the shame that I had felt, but from the church as well, we would rather pretend that nobody in our churches are suffering or having these struggles to address. As one pastor told me, the reason I don't have you come and speak to my church is because these issues will arise that the individuals haven't, and then I'm left to deal with it. And in fact, that's what we as the church are supposed to be there to support, to kind of be the hospital for we're all sinners, so the hospital for sinners. But I think just because we're scared of it too, we don't know. People don't understand the issues at hand.
How would you describe it? Is it an addiction?
I do describe it as an addiction, and for the reason being with the people that I've worked with myself, how they have described it and how it has the addictive cycle in their life with this is the first gentleman that had called me had shared his story, and it started out like this. I started to cross-dress. I would stop at the motel room. When I was having a bad day, I would stop there to release the stress. And I thought I could control it. But what I discovered was that it, meaning the cross-dressing, started to control me. And so he had moved from simply cross-dressing into relieving his emotional distress and what all that involved into now going and crossing the line of saying, I'm really thinking about maybe sex reassignment surgery. Maybe this body I'm in is not who I really am.
I think that we want to minister to the gay community. We just don't know how to do it. And for the most fact, the gay community sees us as nothing more than somewhat bigoted and somewhat hypocritical, or if not hypercritical of their lifestyle. We really haven't found the bridge to minister to them.
Yeah, and it's basically, I think, because of God's word being in opposition of the homosexual life. And with that, you know, we as individuals, and I say as sinners, we simply cannot bring God up to our expectations or to change God's ways into our ways. Really, then we're having our self-idol in our own ways of worshiping a false God. God has his own expectations, and he has called us into holiness, and our temples being a holy temple.
In the heart of a person who's struggling with this, do you think that they're struggling with the guilt of it as much as they are with the addiction of it?
Yes. For the individuals that I work with, most definitely, the guilt of it, and as well as their desire to be able to go to their churches, to go to their church leader. Many times they'll find a church leader that is not necessarily their primary church because of the shame that they're going through, and they don't want their family take any chance that this secret that they deal with is known to others, because they're not sure of what the kind of treatment they'll get from them.
Yeah, right. All right, just let our listeners know the conference is coming up October 3rd and 4th in Washington, D.C. The website for that is pfox.org?
Correct.
And that's for parents and friends of ex-gays and gays, so that's pfox.org if you're interested in attending the conference. And those who want to know more about your ministry, is it helpforfamilies.com?
It is. It's with the number 4. Currently, we're working on our website, so it's been kind of up and down, unfortunately, throughout the last few days. But it is helpforfamilies.com. Okay, and there's some resources there for family members and church leaders, right? Yes, sir. All right. Well, Denise, thank you. Fascinating, and thank you for what you're doing. And the more of this we hear, the more hope I think it gives to more people. Not only how to handle the situation, but certainly for those who are struggling with the addiction and what to do. Yes, yeah, and they need the churches. We families need the churches, and the individuals need you very badly. All right. Thanks, Denise. Again, her website is help4families.com, or if you're interested in the conference, you can go to pfox.org, pfox.org, and register there. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.